Hello, everybody. This is Orcop here with Kazi. We are going to be your casters for this first game of Prime Meta League Week 4. We're looking at Cerberus and Run It Down today. Kazi, what do you think about these two teams? You know, we're pretty far into the season. We should have a good grasp on what the teams are like at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I won't sit here and pretend that I've seen every single game, right? But I do think that so far in the season, we've seen two teams that are kind of looking a little bit better than every other team, at least so far. I think we've seen a lot of teams who are kind of stuck in like this. I think we've seen Jumbos and I want to say it's Blue Buff Bandits who are kind of ahead of most of the other teams. And then there's a quagmire of other teams that are kind of stuck in this middle. I think right now that's kind of where we are with these guys. Both of them really, really solid, at least so far. And I think that we're going to see a pretty good game today. I think Run It Down has been a really entertaining team to watch, and that Cerberus has looked really good in some spots and looked a little bit less good in other spots, specifically against those other top couple teams we've seen so far.
Yep. Run It Down has been sort of an unofficial scrim partner for my team, Murder of Crows, for the past couple of weeks. So I can speak a bit more confidently on them. And I mean, they've been doing really well. They do beat us most of the time in practice, although we have taken a game or two. Both of these teams are sort of hovering in the middle of the pack, so I think it's going to be a close match, but it looks like we're getting into the draft here, and we're starting with a Maokai ban. Straight into Briar. Very unusual bans to see here, unless players on the team are powerful OTPs, but Briar is definitely an interesting.
Yeah, I'm not used to the Briar man either. I do think that it probably signals that there's something that they're trying to set up for, and that Briar's probably pretty good against whatever that is. But
there's Jinx gone.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Jinx has been a really powerful character on a lot of different teams so far. But yeah. I was going to say, I'm not really sure what the Briar ban is exactly trying to do, but I'm sure that there's a here.
It's a weaker early game jungler. Orianna, very generic first pick. You know, it's Ori.
I would either assume a weak early game jungler, or they're trying to set up for a carry that just happens to not be very good into Briar. I think Orianna would also kind of suggest that, even though it doesn't necessarily look like that. Orianna's like a really heavy peel-oriented champion that doesn't actually do a ton of damage by herself, even though she obviously contributes. So maybe setting up for a hyper carry.
Yep, and then we're going to see
no, but sorry, I'm tripping. They weren't the ones who banned Briar. Run It Down banned Briar.
We are going to see a Galio pick out of Run It Down. That's very early. Presumably that's Galio mid in response to the Orianna pick, although it could still be a support choice. Xin Zhao, that is the default generic jungler, aside from J4, who is banned this game. So that tells us almost nothing about what they're looking to do here. Volibear. Someone else picking Volibear. Holy God. I thought my top laner was the only maniac in this.
Yeah, and the Volibear pick is really interesting here. Not only because it's a very aggressive pick, but also because it's pretty early. And Volibear is notoriously a character that is relatively easy to pick around, depending on your team, and really easy to counter in terms of like team or team comp.
Rel on top. Wow. So my guess is that this is Volibear jungle, because picking your top laner round 2 is just atrocious, but we'll see. But this is looking very low damage for Cerberus. I mean, we have a utility mid, we have Rel, Caitlyn pick from Run It Down. That's okay, and that makes the Briar ban perhaps a little more understandable.
But I don't think Caitlyn's the type of hyper carry that you pick something where you ban something like Briar.
Yeah, I don't think she requires that much support. We'll have to see where they go with this. We're going to see a Karma ban and an Ambessa ban. So Run It Down are chomping the top pool, and Cerberus are trying to control the support pool, which makes sense.
Ambessa is another dive champion. That kind of feels like the Briar ban. And then Yunara is actually just a really generic ban Still not quite sure what they're setting up for, though. That's 3 carry bans and 2 dive bans from the side of Run It Down.
Yeah, that seems to be a ban strategy with a very sharp direction, but we're not seeing it come out in the picks so far. We'll have to see what they do with their last 2 here. Cerberus are going to go into their last ban, and we're going to see a timeout. No, it's Lux ban. I don't know why people bother, but
I mean, sometimes you just don't really know how to deal with something, and so you want to ban it. Also, I mean, Volibear Rel into Lux sounds pretty miserable, right? Like, those are and Karma as well. Like, those are characters that are getting peeled off really, really easily,
but
with reasonably consistency. Yeah.
But hear me out. What I would like to see from Run It Down here, Morgana. Or, as I like to refer to her, better Lux. Braum is also a good choice, I think. But
yeah, Braum fitting into that same category of champions that do a lot of really, really heavy peel. Very, very good against Volibear. Reasonable against Rel, although Rel is a little bit more flexible of a character where she can be like either your follow-up initiation or a primary peel character.
right.
But Volibear is going to struggle a lot into Braum and Caitlyn and Galio. And my God, is that a Vayne lock?
We're picking Vayne into Caitlyn. That's very brave.
Yeah, a lot of confidence in that pick. At least I think so.
You better have it to be playing Vayne into Caitlyn. That is a brutal laning phase to deal with.
It for sure is.
Yeah, especially. Okay, never mind. It's Vayne top. We picked Vayne top without seeing their top laner. Cerberus is on crack. You can't do this. I'm just saying you can't do this. You can't ever do this.
I mean, you can do it with some amount of reasonable confidence. Vayne is very, very good into Xin Zhao and into Galio.
Yes, but you have blind picked Vayne top, who is the single easiest to counter top lane champion in the game. Pick Nasus, pick Teemo, pick Renekton, pick anything that can just bunker. Do not.
I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, lane counter. Oh, yeah. We have finally recognized that laning phase actually does matter in games of League of Legends, and you should probably win it if you want to win a game.
I got Run It Down. I got to give it to Run It Down Team Comp. I mean, they have a strong early game carry through the Xin Zhao and the Caitlyn. I like our cameraman is putting Jin over the Ashe because apparently that was a misclick. I don't think that changes the draft. It's still atrocious. In the mid game, we have the very strong power spike from Nasus, who is going to have a very easy laning phase into fucking Vayne. And then in the late game, Caitlyn comes out of that mid game trough and starts to be a real hyper carry again once you get to 5-6 items. So I really like the balance of power on Run It Down. They've got winning lanes. It's looking very good for these guys. I can't.
No, I was just saying. I think you can tell that Run It Down's game plan changed a little bit. Actually, let's be honest, changed a lot of it after seeing that Vayne pick. But I think they still ended up with maybe not the most cohesive team comp, but a very reasonable one, and one that's going to dominate every lane, right? Like that's maybe the biggest thing here is that they have double winning lane and they've chosen a handshake lane into this Orianna, who's normally a pretty reasonable lane bully, along with like a forward jungler into what's presumably going to be a Volibear, one of very few junglers that can actually stand up to him early game. I would expect Run It Down to be very, very ahead by the time we hit that 12-15 minute mark, right?
Yeah, and Vayne top is not a pick you can get behind on. As soon as that champion drops behind in the top lane, she is worthless. Literally worthless. Can't split, can't duel, can't team fight, can't do anything. It's a very like this. Their top laner has to be absurdly confident in this pick. There is no other explanation for this because it's so vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think that it's really risky to pick this kind of thing. And if you're going to pick this kind of thing, you have to be very confident in it. Obviously, Cerberus' top laner has to have that confidence. He knows that there's the potential for this counter pick here. But I mean, I don't play a ton of top lane. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything about what could possibly be going on here. But this seems like an absolutely miserable lane.
Yeah, it just every lane except for mid is miserable for Cerberus, and mid is like even at best because you can't solo kill Galio on Orion. It's just not going to happen.
Mhm.
And the Galio is going to have better map pressure because he's Galio. Like, they don't even have a strong ball delivery system. Their best option is Rel.
I mean,
It's not even
yeah,
good.
Rel Volibear, but like Rel Volibear is just so hard to get in against
Yeah,
like Galio
Volibear's
and Braum and even Nasus, right? Like, obviously, you're more of like a anti Vayne bot when you're playing the Nasus, right? Being like kind of maybe not a dive champ, but you're definitely
well, you don't.
designed for like one shot and 80 carry. But you peel so well against this team. Like, what
Yeah,
are they supposed to do against you?
yeah, and Nasus doesn't even have to wither the Vayne in every team fight because the Vayne is going to be irrelevant. If she gets out of lane with the appropriate 40 CS, she's not going to do anything. There's no point in Wing her, so you're free to W Volibear who's running you with the Ori ball. I would
Yeah,
this would be so much better for Cerberus if they had just picked Zin. If this was Zin instead of Volley.
if
much.
this Vayne is on like on a different timer than the rest of the game, which she quote unquote should be considering how bad of a lane this is going to be, then like you're not going to get to a point in the game where the Vayne is relevant, right?
Yeah.
In
And
in most reasonable games, at least.
in any viewers who are wondering about the Vayne Nasus matchup, this is generally how it goes when both players are of equal skill and know the matchup enough to play it out properly. Is that Vayne will have the advantage from levels 1 through 5, maybe amass about a 15 CS lead, and then as soon as Nasus hits level 6, every time Vayne walks past the middle of the lane and his ult is up, she's dead. So 1 to 5 is a window where the Vayne is strong into Nasus, but once Nasus hits level 6, she just dies on repeat. It's
Yeah.
it's very brutal.
And she has virtually no counterplay for it either. It's like another thing, right? Like
Yeah,
it
you can
doesn't
eat him,
really.
but you move at 3 ms. He's just gonna walk up to you and continue to beat you to death. It's ooh
Yeah,
boy.
it's really rough. If Nasus gets out of those first 5 levels living, then it just starts going downhill and it never gets better. You
Yeah,
really need to find a way to isolate your Vayne. But the problem is that there's nobody on Cerberus's team who's reasonably matching Nasus.
yeah.
Maybe Volibear, but then like you're losing a bunch of economy in the
He's
jungle because you can't clear
you
it
can't
and tailor a pushed wave at the same time.
you can't match with your jungler. You can't. It's a fundamental of macro play because if you match with your jungle, you don't have smite for objective. You can't send your jungle to split bottom, create Baron pressure. You need the smite for Baron.
And even if you could, like Volibear is not really standing up to Nasus in the mid game with jungler money, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
He's gonna get
even
clowned.
if you're in that desperate situation where you're like, okay, maybe we've won in a bunch of other places and we can afford to like kind of let our jungler loose while we have our support plus one other roaming around to control these objectives. Like Volibear's still just not 1v1ing this Nasus. There's just nobody who's actually able to fight this Nasus straight up. And the
Theoretically,
1-4 or even the 1-3-1 from Run It Down is going to be really, really tough.
it's kind of funny that this Ashe is actually a Jhin pick because Ashe is actually better here because at least
All right.
Ashe can
It's not just me.
at least
Yeah.
Ashe can go side against Nasus because she can't kill Nasus, but Nasus can't ever touch her.
But you
So
can run away. Yeah, you can
yeah.
run away. You might even be able to clear a wave.
It might
Oh my
actually
god!
be
Wait,
Ashe.
drama. We're being lied to. Oh
I
no,
still think it's near unwinnable
it's
for
still bad.
Cerberus,
Like it's
but
still atrocious.
it's definitely better than playing Jhin into this. Good lord.
Mhm.
Also, the Vayne isn't even good if she gets out of laning phase, fine, because she still can't team fight into Caitlyn. She has 500 auto attack range, and Caitlyn's got 600. And traps. Traps are a nightmare for Vayne. Like it's an atrocious. Like I don't see it, but I am ready to let them go. I will mock them relentlessly if they lose though.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just so hard for this to be a really positive, like. It's hard to find places where it's going to be positive until we're 40 minutes in and even gold, right?
Right.
Um,
It's there's no windows for Cerberus where they're stronger. Early game, run it down
maybe
is
the first
stronger.
like literal 5 minutes.
Maybe
The first dragon was stronger.
But even then, run it down's bot lane is stronger. Caitlyn Braum is stronger than Ash Rel in the early game. Like, mid lane's a wash the whole time. Top lane, they have advantage from 1 to 5, but you don't care about top lane advantage 1 to 5.
Yeah,
There's no objective.
Fake. Yeah.
Bot has advantage early game. They lose advantage in the mid game because Caitlyn's mid game's drop off is ridiculous, but that's when Nasus picks up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was on accident because it kind of seems like they were just picking Nasus to screw Vayne, but I think it fits well with the tempo of their team comp to have someone to carry the pressure in the mid game when Caitlyn is falling off.
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, I think you kind of have to be happy if you're the side of run it down, because that's another reason why the top lane counter pick is historically so strong, right? Is that it's not just because it's a 1v1 lane and because it's on an island in terms of like laning priority. It's also because top lane is the most flexible in terms of role fulfillment. And if you're picking characters that are relatively flexible in terms of what they can and can't do in your game, like Braum and Galio and Caitlyn, your top laner can be almost anything and you'll be able to figure it out, right? And I think Cerberus should have recognized that when they locked in that vein, like, hey, they can pick anything here. And if they can pick anything, then they can pick whatever is good against Vayne at the moment.
Yeah, whatever's going to brutalize Vayne. And it's not like Nasus was the only option. He's definitely the easiest to execute.
Yes, but, I agree.
I mean, like, you can do the same thing with Jax. You can do the same thing with, like, Gangplank if you're good at him.
Mm-hmm. It is certainly a game state we have found ourselves in.
I really expect to see like a pick that warrants the Vayne top before you bust it out. But we are getting into the match, so let's see if Cerberus can actually pull this off.
Yeah,
he's going to be the Vayne top.
I do want to see if Cerberus can make it work, because if they can make it work, like, we do really have a game here, you know?
If they could make this work, then teams are going to start banning Vayne against them. Because if he can make this work into the literal, like, worst matchup possible, then it's a real problem in draft.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But especially considering, like, you don't have a choice but to, like, think about it in your draft, right? Like, you do have to play around it the entire time, regardless of what you wanted to do otherwise. All right, so it looks like we're going to get pretty standard start here from both teams. Fan out, make sure we get to start our regular lanes. Man, Riot's changes this year really did do a wonder for, like, the early game stuff. Not only in, like, solo queue games, maybe even more so in solo queue games, but, like, even at, like, this level of competitive play, we see that, like, people just aren't willing to go for that type of risky early game invade anymore, huh?
Yeah, it's just not worth it. Sometimes you coin flip the instant win, and sometimes you coin flip an instant loss. It's just, unless you have a very specific type of champion like Blitzcrank or Thresh, it's very risky to do because there's no guarantee that you'll find a numbers match.
Mm-hmm.
In top lane, we're seeing yeah, this is how this goes. It's 11 CS to 0 because the wave has not yet hit Nasus' tower, so he can't get any CS.
Yeah, Nasus is gonna, like, not be able to eat anything for a solid 5 minutes, right? It's just that after that 5 minutes, it gets real brutal real quick.
Yeah. The typical approach is to put 3 points in E when you're into this kind of lane so that you can secure that early CS easier. I'm not sure if that's what Nasus is doing here. I don't think he took E level 1, which I think is a mistake, but wow, Orianna got traded. Oh my god, we missed that.
Yeah, we absolutely did. I mean, sometimes that happens when you step inside that Galio range and you think you have the dodge, but you're just, like, slightly outside of the actual dodge range, and you end up taking, like, all the damage directly to the face, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You eat the whole Q.
Yeah.
Nasus, this is the very annoying things you deal with at Nasus top against ranged top laners, but you just wait for 6, and then he gets to have revenge. This is actually a pretty reasonable freeze position for Nasus. The lane is actually in quite a good spot for him, although he might get dived here. Oh, no, he just stepped up too far and died.
That is something we maybe should have highlighted in the pregame. If we did want to make this a hard lane for Nasus, setting up one of those level 3, 4, 5 dives would have been an excellent way to do so. It is notoriously difficult to dive Nasus in an uncoordinated environment, but when you're working with the team, it's a lot easier. Still not simple, but significantly more possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that being said, if your top laner is just going to do it on his own, just let him.
You don't need him.
Yeah.
Just a bit of too much out there from Nasus, staying a bit too long, getting a bit too greedy. We've all done it. I think she probably got the condemn into tower.
Yeah, probably.
Don't stick around at 100 HP, guys.
Yeah, consider not doing that sometimes, maybe.
Especially when you have TP up.
Yes, agree. It's just so much more important to not lose XP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Volley ransacked Zin's top jungle, so he's going to be a bit behind here. At least they're making use of the Volley's clear speed. Not the worst choice.
Yeah, for sure. Volley just ever so slightly ahead, but again, like we did think that this was going to be a game where they could easily be more powerful up and through the first dragon. And it's worth noting, Vayne getting a kill does buy them more time every time she gets an extra 300-400 gold. But Nasus is already caught up in CS. Kind of. The wave is crashing against where he wants it. Potentially getting frozen out for a few waves after this. But the fact that he even has like 30 CS at 4 minutes is like really, really good for him.
Yeah, and now we can see that he's starting to win trades just because the minions are hitting Vayne.
Yeah, which is one of the consequences of creating like one of those really stacked freezes, is that you do have to deal with the fact that the minions are going to aggro you and they're going to punch you up pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yep. And here is the funniest weakness of Vayne. So when you're playing top lane, your opponent recalls in your face like that, the goal is to drive the wave into tower to bounce it. She can't do that.
Yeah, because she's Vayne. Yeah. Yeah.
No wave clear. Look at this. It's still not clear.
Vayne is one of those characters where, like, on a very level 1 level, on like the very surface level, you think that Vayne is a really good top laner because she counters every top laner, because her kit is good against the enemy's kit as a character. But you forget that the important things about top lane aren't just like me hit the other guy harder than the other guy hit me. Things like tailoring a wave, things like crashing, pushing,
he's gonna get
freezing are incredibly important in this lane, and Vayne has absolutely no ability to manipulate a wave whatsoever. Look at this crash that Nasus has just because he walked up with a good trade 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
he's going to be able to catch up and be only 5 CS down. Yeah,
he recalled with the wave in her face and still got the cannon. That's bad.
Big gank here. Volibear's going to land the stun. For some reason, he's going to flip over, and that's going to be a nice out from Galio being able to hit their jungler.
Yep.
Ooh, heads up play from Volibear, though, knowing that because of that, he can go harass some camps or potentially get some deep vision, because the jungler can't stand there if both of them roam over to him. It doesn't quite find the CS he was looking for, but it's something to think about.
I think they made a mistake there by using volley stun too early. If they had saved it to interrupt the channel, that gank I think would have worked out. But easy mistake to make, especially when you're on stage.
Especially when it's so easy to set up the guaranteed Orianna ulti as well, right?
Oh yeah,
and burning a volley ulti here is pretty good because it makes this Galio ulti. It makes this dive, right, which is the next play when you usually burn a little bit of resources from the enemy jungler, significantly harder than it would have been with the Galio ulti, right?
Yeah.
So getting that quick recall in instead of searching for more CS means the Volibear can show up to the bot lane, delay this dive, which these dives are a huge tool in Run It Down's arsenal for creating an advantage while they still have this, potential to generate an early game lead before the inevitability of the Run It Down mid game comes. And mitigating every single one of those is going to be really, really important for the game plan. So overall, I would say, like, even though they're probably even in terms of resources, CS, things like that, dragon weakness from the enemy jungler, from the enemy jungler to kill the mid laner.
That's the second time we've seen them get a fairly successful gank off of that mid pathing. So ward.
Yes, warding is good. I agree.
First time understanding
a couple times now, so it's something to think about for sure.
You should never be able to get away with the same play twice in one game.
It's so much easier to say that than to actually do it, though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's telling people what's wrong with their gameplay is a lot easier than fixing your own gameplay.
I would never bother fixing my own gameplay, though. That sounds difficult and something like I don't want to do.
I just stepped away from playing Summoner's Rift for a bit.
Yeah. And I'm not sure about you, but it appears the Summoner's Rift has stepped away from my screen.
Yep, it looks like we're on a stream pause while we're dealing with some technical difficulties.
And we're so back, actually. Never mind. Back like we never left.
Okay.
Has anything happened? I honestly
Xin died.
Xin Zhao is dead. Rel is hurt. Well, was hurt.
It looks like we missed a fight. Cerberus went up a couple of kills. I will point out that despite
being might have picked it up.
Despite being 4 kills up, 2 kills up, Cerberus's gold advantage is like 1,000 at most, which
it's like
I don't
400. Yeah,
it might not be enough.
Or sorry, no, it might be 800, but still, that's not enough for what. Oh, Nasus significantly overstepping now.
Yeah, significant misplay from Nasus.
Yeah, really, really good gold into the pockets of Vayne, and another delay on that timer we keep talking about. And it is going to be harder and harder if they just keep dying. Dying is much less about the gold in this game and much more about the tempo. And they bought themselves a lot of tempo here throughout this early game.
We might be seeing an example of the don't pick the counter pick if you don't know how the lane works.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, it's clear that like he has concepts of how the lane is supposed to work, right?
Yeah,
it's just that the practice may not be there. He's making the type of mistakes you make when you're not sure, when you know how a matchup is supposed to go, but you haven't actually played it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know you're supposed to be able to kill Vayne at level 6, but you don't know what the trigger conditions for are. Where does she have to be standing in lane? How close do you have to be to initiate the fight? That kind of thing you only get from experience with the matchup. Seems to be
and this looks like a really, really good bait coming out from Cerberus here, because I'm not sure they actually see the Volibear. There's going to be a TP coming in on the side of Run It Down. Volibear is going to be in there. They're going to pick up the kill on Caitlyn. Jinja's landing a lot of damage, though, and this is going to be a huge TP from the Galio. They're going to knock up the Volibear. Volibear is going to go down. Tattoo Potato is going to pick up the kill. Ultimately, it's going to be an even trade coming out here with Run It Down finding a little bit more forward position than Cerberus, but overall going to be about even gold exchange between the two teams.
Overall, I think that's a little bit worse for Run It Down because we did have to concede mid lane pressure to Orianna to do that, but it's not the worst. An even trade is fine. Also, no jungle attention top lane. When you're playing into Vayne, typically you will just gank the ever-living crap out of her because look,
she can't do anything. What's she going to do about it? Yeah.
Look at where she's standing. She's in front of his tower. There should be more ganks on the top side here. We can't just abandon him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, this is probably something that they haven't practiced a ton, right? This is a very solo queue kind of spot to be in, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But part of that is like knowing, hey, like, or part of like being a team is knowing like, hey, just because they picked Vayne does not mean, or just because this is a good thing for us does not mean that this Vayne is like not going to be able to do Vayne things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Oriole just went out mid lane and didn't get much of anything, which is a pretty big problem considering the dragon spawn for Cerberus.
Yep. This dragon should be pretty high priority for both teams here. Run It Down because Run Dragon basically secures them a 35-minute plus game if they need it, and Cerberus because they just need to try and find more tempo anytime they possibly can. Oh my god, another little bit of what seems to be a spacing mistake by the Nasus burning the ulti. But it looks like they're going to be able to capitalize by picking up a dragon for themselves. Oh, he is so close to dead there.
Yeah, very, very
big. Volibear's going to go ahead and steal that Drake, though. Galio's going to ulti in. Both teams, Cerberus is going to be split in half. It looks like they're going to be able to isolate a little bit, but that's too much damage going down onto the enemy, or onto Cerberus' support. I've been frozen. There are things happening.
massive team fight communication mistake from RID there. We saw Galio dive into 2 on the bot side of the Dragon Pit, and then the rest of the team split off to chase a champion that they couldn't put DPS on. bad mistake in target optimization there. I think with better decision making, RID win that fight. But now Cerberus are looking quite ahead, taking that strong early game advantage. Oriana is now 5-0, or 3-0.
And Cerberus really got everything they wanted there, right? Like, that's just a really, really rough spot to be in for now. Run It Down has to deal with the fact that, like, they're just behind. 10 kills to 5, a reasonable gold lead. The Vayne is kind of outplaying this Nasus up top despite the disadvantages associated with it. And this Volibear and this Oriana are just going to be really tough to deal with in these skirmishes for the next, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. So we've taken our like 12-minute advantage, turned it into a 20-minute advantage. And if we can take a 20-minute advantage and turn it into a 30-minute advantage, that's very possibly an entire game of League of Legends.
Xin Zhao is making a significant mistake here. You are Xin Zhao. Stop farming your camps and gank Vayne. You are not going to do anything with that gold. You need to deal with this Vayne. You are Xin Zhao. I cannot frankly believe that Vayne was allowed to take this top tower for free. That is pure jungle mistake.
It does feel like Tattoo Potato's impact on this game has been relatively negligible. He's been around for these fights, but he's not initiating anything himself. You know what I mean? At least
he's
so
not
far.
Creating space or creating plays. He should be aggressively ganking the top side of the map. I mean, you're Xin Zhao and that's a Vayne top. It just seems like very, easy decision making to me. But Tattoo has been very much bot focused this game, which I don't think they need it.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention the fact that, like, Argyle on the other side has been creating space across the map in different lanes and in different places. And oh my god. So this is one of the advantages of being top lane Vayne. Single lane XP and single lane gold is so good. And you just do so much more damage than other ADCs do. Not because you're particularly high damage in the mid game, but just because you're, like, naturally fed. Stack that with the fact that you've gotten a couple solo damage game.
Yep. Just very, very bad position for RID to be in. This Vayne is now a monster. Nasus has not even completed his first item yet. Vayne is sitting on nearly her second. He has to leave now. He has to leave now or he's dead. He might be dead.
Yeah. No, and you really can't afford for this position. Like, this is the type of position that creates unwinnable games, right? Regardless of how well you've done. Like, you can't reasonably expect to do... Oh, huge, though.
Okay, we stopped hitting... Ashe stopped hitting Nasus for reasons.
Brother, reasons.
I don't think that gets Nasus back into the game. He's still crushingly behind, but it does make this a little less painful for him. Yeah, the Nasus is down nearly 3k gold. This is bad.
I mean... bad is relative, right? Like,
the game's not lost yet, but we're getting close.
Technically, the game is not over, which is my favorite type of game is not over. You know what I mean?
Yep, the Nexus is still alive.
The Nexus is alive. We have truly done it.
Cerberus are doing really well with their warding. Ashe escorting the Rel into the enemy jungle to guarantee that she gets those wards down and doesn't kill herself walking into somebody. Always good to see.
Of course.
For the moment, looks like we're taking things pretty slow, but our Cerberus have tower advantage in every single lane. Their pressure is, oh my god.
And this is getting rougher and rougher, right? Like, Argyle is just so present in this game, and he's disrupting everything that Run It Down wants to do. It's one of the, like, I'm sure we've all played, like, a frustrating game of jungle where we just feel the other guy's in the right place at the right time. Anytime you want to make a play. That is Argyle today. He has just had Run It Down read like a book, and they're not making any moves he's unaware of so far. And that's going to be another dragon in the pocket of Cerberus. They can't do anything about this. They do burn a flash on Oriana trying to get a pick here, which is potentially turning into something, but she's just too fast.
Yep. And because they just took dragon, they know they can't extend that fight any further, or else Guys who just took dragon are going to jump them.
Mm-hmm.
Cerberus playing very, very clean and considered with their macro, never overextending into a position where they can get screwed.
Yeah, and honestly, like really, really clean stuff here from Cerberus, especially considering like how down we were on them at the beginning, or at least I was. Like this is really showing.
The gameplay does not save the atrocious draft. This is just an example of you draft isn't everything. You still need execution.
Yeah, of course, and it's really important to recognize that they've brought the execution today, right?
Yeah, they're playing extremely well on both the micro and macro scales. Here, Nasus is going to die again.
And like he's doing damage, he's just not tanky enough because he hasn't had enough time to buy even a second item. Like,
yeah,
he's 1 in 5, 150 CS.
Don't go Triforce when you're 1 in 5. That's when you buy IBJ.
Yeah, exactly. And even I would even go so far as to say in the Vayne lane in general, you're probably supposed to build a little bit defensive first.
Yeah, I would have loved to. I think the CDR boots are a mistake. I think you clearly go Kazi here.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Plated steel caps for my younger viewers out there.
And we're going to see a team fight here. Braum goes down early.
Can't team fight without
not looking good for RID. Yeah, RID is just getting collapsed.
I've never seen a team forfeit without hitting /FF before, but
we have. RID can take comfort in the fact that this isn't the most embarrassing game we've seen in PML.
No, for sure. But that team fight was there. That they were never winning that. Like, what are we?
That was a fight that we took because we're panicking and we don't have any. This is
don't have any other. We not that we don't have any other options. We just don't know our other options, right? Like we have run out of things to do, and in our panic, we have decided to make any decision, even if it is a bad decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for RID. What's the gold advantage at here? Nearly 10K? More than 10K? 11K. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Really, really tough out here, for sure.
Caitlyn started this game off so strong. She's now 1 in 6.
It's a shame. Like I think there was definitely like some avenues to make it work. It's just that it's a little bit too much, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just we didn't execute our lanes properly, and so we can't take advantage of the natural advantage the draft gave us.
And you do have to execute even when you get these like really, really good these good looking comps, right? Like
yes.
And maybe that's like a takeaway from the game for these guys is that like, hey, just because we get a comp that we like and just because we find ourselves in an advantage position in draft doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to win the entire game outright, you know?
Yeah. And I think the clear biggest problem here is the Nasus. If he had played the lane as executed the lane correctly, I think this game looks entirely different. It's not like Galio or Kate Braum were turboing it early game. It's, you know, they had fed Vayne teleporting on top of them, which is never something you want to see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they kind of had what they wanted. It's just that, man, I just don't think what they wanted was what was good for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's clear that this Nasus experience with this matchup, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means you shouldn't pick it.
Well, at the same time, though, I do have a lot of respect for seeing a spot for advantage in draft and deciding to like act on it, right? Like I think one of the things that North America as a whole does really poorly on a competitive level is like we're not willing to pick the things that are good over the things that are comfortable, but this is a reason to pick the things that are comfortable, right?
Yes. We are not
pick off the Caitlyn again. Oh my god.
This is amateur league. Yeah, that's going to be the end of the game. This is the amateur league, not pro play. Pro players can be reasonably expected to play every champion in their lane to a basic level of competence. You can't expect that from these teams. And if you draft like you are, you're going to lose, as we see here.
Well, you could consider improving.
Nobody should be considering picking up new
Legends player.
Nobody should pick up new picks in the middle of the season. Don't do that.
If you don't first pick Mundo at Worlds, you're not a real player.
Okay, owner. We're reading Mundo's E in the bush.
No, just that was good.
Anyway, a very strong showing from Cerberus. Run it down. Strong draft that just didn't have the execution to follow it up. Don't get too behind, guys. It's fixable, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Nasus wasn't the only option. We have other Vayne counters in top lane. Play one that you're a little more comfortable with. We got Teemo. We got Camille. There's a lot of options. You don't have to go with Nasus if your top laner's not comfortable with it.
And let's not only focus on the bad stuff, right? Like there are good takeaways from that game too. Like you did have a really good draft. Like I think I would even feel comfortable saying they outdrafted Cerberus. It's just that maybe you have to work on things that are a little bit different in order to execute them on stage. And also, like, you know, that's a really good game to go back and review because there's going to be a lot of places where you can find a lot of things that could have gone differently that aren't necessarily like good situations, but you can find a lot of places where you can change your decision making and you can take a lot of heuristic things out of that game to change about your overall texture of how you're deciding to play these games. Because I think one of the issues here is that I think they came into draft with an idea of how the game was going to go, and then their draft changed, and then their game plan should have changed, and maybe it didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. So that is the conclusion of the Cerberus Run It Down match, and we will soon be moving into our second match for today, which is
Blue Buff Bandits, I think.
Yep, Blue Buff Bandits and Sock Puppet Rodeo. So as soon as the other casters are ready, we'll pass it off to them. I got to go get my team prepped for our match in round 3. Until then, I guess we'll just awkwardly hover here and provide meaningless noise.